Good evening, revolutionaries, and welcome to Rise Up After Dark.
Rise up after dark.
Hello.
Great. Perfect. What's up, dude? How's it going?
Oh, it's good. You know, we started off our morning talking about TikTok silliness, and then we started our evening off talking about TikTok silliness. So it's all just a big circle.
But yeah, it seems like it's marching towards at least some kind of resolution, though, which is
maybe.
I
may have found out what is wrong and broken in my account, and maybe customer support at TikTok will be able to figure it out. But if not, we have two friends who are knocking down TikTok stores and trying to get us real humans to talk to and not just AI. So that would be wonderful. And TikTok's actually working on like an authentication solution already. So that would be great, because otherwise everyone's just going to stop posting content on TikTok.
I mean, it's like you were saying, you know, right now it's us, but there's no reason that it won't extend, this scam won't extend to every creator with something to lose if their account gets taken away. And that's, that's so many of us.
And if this is the first time you're watching this, you don't know what's going on, there's an extortion ring or person or people who are going around and specifically targeting crypto TikTok content creators, threatening that if they do not pay them, typically $2,500, they will mass report videos and get their accounts on TikTok banned. Mine was banned and something's broken about it. I think I found out what was broken though. So I'm a little bit hopeful, and I sent that into TikTok support, and hopefully they can do something about it. But yeah, that's what's been going on. So there are over 20 crypto TikTok creators who have lost their profiles over on TikTok. And I was just like, yeah, they're going after crypto people because, like, hey, maybe these people actually have money. So like, what's $2,500 to them? But then after that, they're just going to go after like the big gigantic TikTok accounts because like they're also making money. So like, why wouldn't they do that? You know, it's going to be a big problem for TikTok. Hopefully we can get it all resolved. But other than that, man.
Fingers crossed, man, because it's exhausting. Today,
it's exhausting.
Today I have appealed, and fortunately they're getting restored because there's nothing, you know, problematic with the videos themselves. It's just whichever ones they happen to pick to mass report. But I've done 16 videos today that have been removed, and I've been like account stricken for it. And, you know, like ban warning, and then within seconds of the appeal, they go through. And I do the same full process every time. The second I get the notification, appeal the decision, say I disagree with it, there's nothing in this that violates the guidelines, send a note, support ticket every time. And so we're just duking it out right now, I guess. Hopefully not for much longer. He's
I like
got to get
imagine,
bored eventually.
Right? He has got to get bored. He's got to know that, like, he can't win against you. Also, I do enjoy the idea of both of you. Like, you are both old school ships that have gigantic broadsides, just sending broadsides back and forth against one another, just blindly. Mm-hmm. And I do enjoy that as a view of like a 1700s sea captain.
Just old Ironsides. I know I am, although most of the salt has washed out of my beard at this point, but there was a time in my life where it was pretty salty. But no, I just, you know, it's just not, it can't be fun. Like, I've never replied to this dude. He's getting nothing out of it and it's not working. Just move on. Like, he'll get bored eventually, but the fact that this is going to keep happening to other people just pisses me off. So anyway,
but other than that, I just did some business today, trying to close some deals before the end of the quarter. And we only have a couple days left. So I just got people calling me left and right. And I'm just like, they got the paperwork, they need to sign. For those of you who don't know, I'm a consultant and sales rep for some of the largest supply chain organizations in the world. And they need to sign some paperwork that I've sent them.
If you guys have seen
my boss isn't pissed.
The Lego movie, Will is President Business. And all day long, he just gets progressively taller as the day goes on. And it's just business, 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 business.
It's much more so, if you've seen the Lego movie, I'm definitely more so the unicorn at the table that just goes business, 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 numbers. And then I lean to my the people I'm trying to sit, I go, is this working? They go, yes. And I go, yeah. And
Translation,
luckily
you're so overpaid.
I'm underpaid. I need to get paid more.
This is true.
And in fact, I tell them that every single year. I go, I need to get paid more. And they're like, maybe we'll. I'm like,
Damn it,
no, I need to get paid more. Hey, I've gotten a raise probably 8 of the past 10 or 11 years I've been doing this. So, always ask for more money. Always ask for more money. But the other thing I've just been working on, dude, is just like getting healthy again. I was just eating a bit too much. I ran an experiment.
We're on similar journeys here.
Yeah, I ran an experiment for a while where I used to just like not eat. I woke up and didn't eat until noon. It was like the intermittent fasting thing, but it was just like kind of natural. But then I was like, hey, what if I started eating breakfast? So I started eating like a gigantic bowl of cottage cheese, and then like that set my appetite for the day, and I just started like eating more during lunch and dinner too. And I started getting a little fat. So like I did a bulk over the winter and it got up to 224. I'm 6'2", got up to 224. I was a thick boy. And then I was able to cut that. I stopped the bulk, went back down to about 210, 208, just naturally. And then I was like, let me try this whole eating breakfast thing. See how that works. Got stronger. That was great. Shoulders are bigger. Wonderful. But now I'm over 20% body fat. And I'm just like, I don't like how I look anymore. And my knees are starting to hurt because I'm back to 214. It's like, let's not do that. So counting the macros, getting back into that, which is less fun. My girlfriend's very pissed because she's like, I'd like a sweet treat. And I'd be like, well, I'll watch you get a sweet treat. And she's like, so you're calling me fat? And I'm like, I'm calling you fat. Yes. I don't duck it. I go, that's exactly what I'm saying. Now
which
go
is hilarious
get an ice
because
cream.
For those of you who have not seen Violet, she is a rail.
She's a little lady.
She's small.
She is small. SMOL. But that's it, man. But I'm back under 20% body fat again. I've lost a percentage of body fat in the past week and a half. I'm down to 20. I think today I was down to 206 from 214 just like 2.5 weeks ago. So it's going well. It's going well. Just trying to get a little shredded.
Yeah, that beginning first bit is quick. I had the exact same experience because I decided to completely eliminate sugar for a bit just because that was my problem for sure. So went cold turkey, 0 sugar, started with a 36-hour fast because I've always had an easier time sticking to something that was like a longer term improvement to my eating if I started with something that I would have felt guilty about screwing up. And 36-hour fast is like not the funnest thing in the world. No. So did that way. It was just like more motivating to not eat junk, right after I had just finished that fast. Cause like, I don't want that to be for nothing. So no sugar, did no sugar at all. The only sugar I consumed came from fruit, for the next 4 weeks. Definitely lost some fat, lost some weight. And now I've been kind of just doing the intermittent fasting, which I had never done before, but I was kind of doing it automatic or on accident already, just by having poor eating habits. And so I would just like always skip breakfast and, but then I would eat something unhealthy for lunch for that first thing. I was not getting any important nutrients, none of that kind of stuff. And I was like, you know what? I need to figure out something. So I basically just sat down with ChatGPT and I started a health assessment AI assistant thingy and just gave it all of my parameters. Here's all my measurements, all my whatever. Here's my age, yada, yada. Here's the time I have. Here's the equipment that I have available to me. Here's, how I prefer to eat. Here's what I don't want to eat. Here's what I don't like.
God,
build me something.
Godspeed to dietitians.
I know, for real. Dude,
I know, right?
For real.
I started putting that in the ChatGPT. I just count my macros on LifeSum, the app, and then I'll throw it into ChatGPT and I was like, hey, here's my progress this week. What should I tweak? And I'll just be like, oh yeah, XYZ. I'm just like, oh, thanks, ChatGPT. I'm like, and then I'm just like, oh, those poor nutritionists. No, dude, and I'm friends with one who is my nutritionist, and I've almost texted her and I'll pay her $25 for her just to give me some opinions or whatever. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, Emma, I don't need you anymore. It's like the Woody meme. I'm done playing with you. I feel bad. At
this point too, just being able to take a photograph of the inside of my fridge or the inside of my pantry and just be like, make me something. Here's my, like, what I've eaten so far today. Which macros am I missing? And then, like, if you would suggest that I go get something to make whatever better, then write me a shopping list based on what's in here and what's missing and what I still need to eat. And it crushes it, dude.
Oh, that's just interesting. Like, you could take a picture of your fridge in your pantry, send it to ChatGPT, and be like, "Hey, what are 3 of like the best meals I could make right now?"
Yes.
Damn.
Yep.
I never thought about using it like that.
I do it for workouts all the time too, where I'm like, hey, okay, I'm at work. I have, I've got 25 minutes. I have a resistance band in my backpack, and I've got a staircase. Write me a workout. I have nothing else. I have 25 minutes. Build me something. And it, that's an easier one. But sometimes it'd be like, I have nothing. Design a body weight, something I can do with like only calisthenics that'll hit this, 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 and this. And that's been pretty cool too. But yeah, I don't know. Godspeed.
My manager at my business, every Friday now, he asks us how we've used AI to help us this week. Because my manager, he's young, he's 39, I'm 32. But like, I work in a world where like everyone is 50 or 62 years old. And so like a 39-year-old is like a little baby, but he's my manager. And he has all these like old guys who are like a few years from retirement. He's just like, if you don't use AI, we're going to have problems. And so they're like, I just need this job for a few more years. And so they're all using AI for the first time.
I mean, it's one of those things. I think so many people would surprise themselves with just like what you'd be able to get out of it.
It's
without
pretty cool.
Really thinking, that, because I think one of the misconceptions is that it's only good for, I don't know, like planning
Google
a
search.
business or something like that. Just being a search engine or, something kind of piddly like that, but you don't really think about, being able to take a picture of something and getting, for example, I was at the bookstore shopping for Christina's birthday last year, and I took her story graph, her list of all the books that she's read with this app that she uses to track them and write reviews for them, downloaded as a CSV, her reading history of like 500 and something books, sent that CSV to ChatGPT, went to the bookstore and took several photographs of the shelves of all of the books in the genres that she likes and said, pick out some stuff on this and this shelf that's not on her list that she has not read yet, but that based on her ratings and her reviews, she would find enjoyable. And I'd have to ask her to remind me exactly how it went, but I think that it was largely a successful experiment.
Yeah.
It was pretty
Especially
cool.
if you have that much data to run through it too. Like
Hundreds.
it's gonna get accurate.
And she takes her ratings very seriously. So she will do,
I can tell.
like half stars on everything. She'll sit there and think. So it's like, it's quite good. But yeah, it worked quite well. I think several of the books that it picked out, she didn't have on her radar and really enjoyed. So that's kind of like what I'm trying to, I basically just like, if I'm encountering something that I think I could do better, I will ask it, how can you help me do this better? What do you suggest I do? And I get all kinds of crazy suggestions. Nothing is better at prompting it than it. So just ask it to get better at prompting it.
Yeah, I feel like
Easy
I
level up.
accidentally find like new ways to use ChatGPT like once a week just by accident. But
I would agree with what Tori just said too, that I found that my ChatGPT is punishing me for not paying, and I think that does matter. I would say unequivocally that I believe that is accurate. Christina has a free one, and I've noticed, because I will run the same prompt asking for the same kind of stuff, and I'll get amazing results, and she will just get some wild shit. A lot more hallucinating, which makes sense. You're clearly not paying for the same kind of access. So I would say, Tori, in our experience as well, I would agree with you.
Mm-hmm. Now, I would like to change the topic slightly.
Let's do it.
Because I started looking into ZBEC.
I've done it too. Okay, let's talk about it.
So when we first talked about it, I hadn't done my research, and you kind of poo-pooed on it a bit,
Yes.
because for everybody who doesn't know, it's a I don't know what you call it, like a stream pay solution. So like it's the real world application of it would be if you are a contractor or if you are an employee, you could get paid as you work. Like today you get a paycheck every 2 weeks or once a month, depending on what state you live in. It might be different in the country you're in. Maybe you get paid weekly, whatever, right? Typically you get paid once or twice a month, maybe 3 times. In this, you would get paid like fractionally, just like as you're working, there'd be a continuous stream of money being paid into you. Okay. Now that in and of itself, that's not new. That's not new in the crypto space in any way, shape, or form. Hasn't been for a very, very, very long time.
No.
However, where I was like, oh, maybe there's something, maybe there's a reason here for Zbeck to be excited. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm a little bit on the Zbeck train a little bit, even though this isn't new, is because it was built on Solana originally. It is now multi-chain on BNB chain. They are looking and targeting EVMs, so layer 2s on Ethereum and Ethereum mainnet, although, I mean, layer 2s are what you want, and the like. And that's where their main competition is right now. Their only main competition is Stream. What's their big competition?
Honestly, I would put Llama Pay in their competitors.
Llama Pay.
Yeah.
I had Superfluid.
Superfluid is one of their competitors. I actually have a list of their competitors. I can pull it up. There's a few.
Okay.
Yeah,
Evan
but
knows Superfluid is the one that has the highest amount of on-chain streams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just on Ethereum and layer 2s. So right now they're not in direct competition, but if not Superfluid, if Zbeck is on Solana and on BNB, and then they get on the layer 2s, I mean, they could really run with this. I know that their targeted audiences are different. So like Zbeck, their audience is more so like institutionally focused, I believe. I haven't done too much digging into it, but let's see. I have some notes here. Yeah, Zbeck focuses on payroll, fiat bridges, and card payments, whereas Superfluid focuses on DAOs and grant programs and DeFi projects. And I'm a little bit more bullish on the initial target of what Zbeck's going for, a little bit more of your traditional institutions. And I think that's like the trend that we're in right now. And also, if you can actually be multi-chain, which they are right now, I think that's a pretty big thumbs up. Is the use case itself overly exciting? Because like it's new? No, it's not new, but it is a good use case.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
I don't disagree with anything that you're saying, to be honest. However, the problem with this particular thing for me, and it's not even Zbeck specific, because I would highlight this as an issue with all of its competitors. And so you mentioned Superfluid. There's Agglayer, MeanFi, Neum, Neutron Pay, Payall, Alchemy. There's a handful that have instituted or have implemented this kind of thing. The problem is that because this is not new, like you said, and honestly, all you really need to run something like this is a smart contract. Any smart contract platform could build this extremely quickly. And anyone with users already would not then need to outsource this to a third party. And so I would guess that the big networks would probably just kind of and make their own. It immediately struck me as something that, like, I don't know why we need this as a separate product.
Yeah, but then, like,
why?
Because, like, this has been a thing for a while now. So, like, why haven't other blockchains just, like, built this?
To be honest with you, I don't think there's any demand for it. Like, barely any.
Yeah. I mean, like, there haven't really been a lot of businesses to adopt stable coins in the first place, because like this payment's gonna be stable coins. Yep. Right? It's the only thing that makes sense. Right? So you don't have like a lot of businesses that have adopted payroll into the Web3 space. So like, yes, the need isn't there yet, and I think we're probably further away from businesses adopting Web3 technology as a form of payment than we are traditional financial institutions adopting crypto for ETF products, as well as the guardrails for international payments and stablecoins. I think those are the first next steps. Next would be businesses actually doing stuff with payroll. But like speculative wise, there's a big opportunity there. And there's a lot of excitement around institutions. There's a lot of excitement around stablecoins in particular and payments. Like that's like the hot thing.
I agree.
And I think Zbeck's like kind of following. I think that's why it got so much attention as it did. And I haven't looked at the chart in a little bit, but I think it's in like a really sweet spot from a speculation standpoint, even if the adoption isn't there for, a few more years.
I think something else that did it really dirty is that it got immediately or not immediately, sorry, aggressively picked up by the XRP army. And
I
there
didn't know
was
that.
some bullshit rumor about Ripple and Zbeck partnering for something, which was completely made up. And I've never found any real evidence of anything significant happening in that realm.
So that's how it ran.
And
Okay.
that's why it ran. It ran because
That's
the
why it
XRP army bought it en masse, and then a lot of people made quite a bit of money with it. It 8x'd in a very short amount of time, and then it has just been bleeding ever since. And to be very honest with you, I do not see really any chatter about it in those same circles anymore. It very quickly left the public forum. And it's been completely like tossed by the wayside, which is the biggest reason that I do not have any faith in it, like getting a fair shake, I would say.
Its price chart still looks pretty solid though right now. I'm not gonna lie.
So do you want to throw it here? I have this is not the, actually I think I can probably change this to the candlestick chart. Here's the,
I can share my screen.
okay. Yeah, why don't you throw that up? You probably
Yeah. Because coin market cap, it's fine for a quick look. It's not good for anything detailed. I feel like if you're actually looking at looking at candles.
Yeah, there we go.
So this is the weekly chart for Zbeck, and you can see, the first 2 weeks it had this high, and then just cratered. But right now,
What's the full time frame on that? How far back does that go?
this goes back to.
Oh, you said that's weekly. I got you.
This is weekly, so this is April 2024.
Okay.
So April 2024, the coin came out, crashed, really, had some ups and downs here and there, right? Then XRP Army found it, erupted over, 2 months essentially, having a crazy run up. Granted, it is down, let's see. It's currently down 45%. It was down 54%. But when you look at this weekly chart, it's trying to hold the old previous all-time high as support. And that's not nothing. That's not nothing. And you can say this too. Oh, let me stop sharing before I get rid of this double screen here. The other thing too is with the XRP army, they love buying a thing that will do nothing.
And holding it forever.
And now you have this community, and as soon as there's like a pump in it, you're gonna have all of them talking about it again.
Yep.
And so I think Zbeck is a coin to, I don't think it's a coin to invest in. I think it's a coin to trade in.
To flip, yep.
Yeah, it's a coin to flip. I think it's in the perfect sweet spot for a coin to flip. And maybe one day, payment streaming, whatever it's called, streamline payments, I think is is the actual term.
Streaming payments, streaming, yeah.
Streaming payments. I think that is a great use case one day, but like you said, it can be built in so many different ways. But
but
maybe,
to be fair,
maybe Zbeck can get the adoption. I think Zbeck has a better chance of actually getting adoption than XRP does.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
and to be and honestly, a lot of that is really just a testament to the fact that the magic of what Ripple has is Ripple, and so you have a lot of examples of their partners, using Ripple for stuff. They don't need to involve themselves with XRP at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So that,
you have the XRP army involved in Zbeck right now, and that is also a great group of people to trade with and on.
and on.
And
Amen.
on.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool idea. I mean, I find it a little gimmicky. But I think in that same sense, just because there's a bunch of apps that do a thing doesn't mean that one app can't be better than the other ones. You know what I mean? So, people find a way to use Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, and PayPal all at the same time, and they all do the exact same thing with very little difference. So who's to say one can't just be everyone's favorite, And I think that's kind of one of those misconceptions again with Web3 stuff. You don't have to be the only thing. You don't have to get all, multiple billions of users. It's okay to have 250 million users and to make a bunch of money with that and to be revenue flowing in that sense and stay kind of in that area. Nothing wrong with that.
No. But the other thing too with Zbeck is it is interoperable already. I think that's a big thing going forward too, because if you have other ecosystems go, oh, well, we'll make something that does, streamlined payments. Be like, oh, there's already something out there that covers Binance Smart Chain, Solana. It's going to be on layer 2s. Knock on wood. Hopefully, maybe we'll see. I'd love to see this be successful.
I can just hear Aishwari saying, "Oh, that you like that? Okay, here it is. Boom, done."
Yeah, I mean,
here it is on Agglayer. Done.
Yeah, that could happen.
I mean,
but if you already have something in a first mover advantage, I know it's not a first mover, but like first mover advantage of being interoperable could become big enough to the point where people just go to it and use it. So it has the option. It has, or not the option. It has the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, in crypto land, adding one new buzzword to a thing that's been done 10,000 times is sometimes all you need.
Sometimes.
And
then just add .ai at the end of it. Bada bing, bada boom, man. Man, those venture capitalists are gonna come running.
Guys, we're making a game.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be a game.
It's gonna have AI in it too. And have you ever heard of big data? Yeah, it's gonna be good, guys. We're gonna make a bunch of money. It's gonna be wonderful, and we're gonna do all the crime.
We'll see. I just think it's.
we'll see.
I did see someone in Discord was talking today about a project Pinlink, which got its name by being heavily influencer shilled. They did a pretty extensive paid campaign. Will, I'm sure we got the email.
I don't remember. I've gotten so many messages.
Yeah, I skipped it. I just don't care about stuff like that. I have. Honestly, this is one of the things that I think Evan and I kind of disagree on, and I won't speak for him, so I don't remember exactly what our full differences are. I have such a hard time getting excited about DPIN. I really, truly do. In general, man, I just don't get it.
I got really excited with DPIN when it was really just render, and it was during COVID, and you had a huge global supply chain problem. And DPIN is wonderful for that. And then the supply chain issues cleared up. GPUs became prevalent again. And there was way less of a need to have decentralized infrastructure for GPUs. I still really like the idea of enabling all like the gadgets and shit around to be able to add computational power for GPUs or processing or, what have you, or something, right? Mm-hmm. And decentralized internet is also interesting, and cell service, like through they just partnered with AT&T. Helium. Yeah, I think it's cool. It's just that I'm not super excited about it, but I still think it absolutely has legs to run on. Makes an already provided service faster to expand, cheaper for people to get access to, and can pay you for taking things that you have laying around your house and putting them to work. So I like all of that. It just doesn't excite me as much as DeFi or as much as the Web3 gaming. Yeah,
I guess it's just one of those things where I really struggle with the incentive model around all of the projects, and I just don't like nothing excite. The idea I'm interested in, especially as far as idle tech is concerned and being able to use spare bandwidth for something. But so many just used it as the impetus to launch a node sale, which is basically just, 2024's version of the 2021.
Anything that says you have to buy this hardware in order to take part in the network, I just go...
Yeah, because none of them, they're all like not super high-end, high-tech, brand new, cutting-edge devices. They're just repackaged routers.
I do so very much so love the pictures of the guys working on the product, and they'll be like clearly like a gaming computer, like PC, but like ripped out with like some extra fans put in, and then a sticker slapped on of like the crypto product's name, and then just a random dude who's wearing like a t-shirt that has the crypto project's name, and it's just like in like some little tiny shop, and you can just get like one little picture of it. They probably just have like that one broken down computer that they've just torn apart to make it look cool, and they're like, here's our production line hard at work. And I'm like, where'd you get the money to make that production line? How many people do you have in that production line? How many products do you make a day? Does that thing even work?
No, and no.
plug it in for me and press the power button. I don't
Nope,
think
can't do that.
Can't do that. Can't do that. Can't do that unless, of course, you're one of our private investors.
Because it's always that. It's twofold too, which makes it even worse. It's like Ponzi scheme inception, where you have this pile of junk that you're going to try to sell me for so much money, and the only thing that it does is farm the token I've just pulled out of my ass and gave to you as a reason for you. So you're spending money on this to farm this useless token that's never going to do anything, to like hopefully speculatively sell it to people who don't want to buy the thing but want to buy the token from you. That was my original problem with Helium back in the day. So it was this problem before we even got into like the main trend of DPIN nonsense, and there was a gajillion of these things, was this problem wherein the only thing anybody wants to do with that token is sell it to somebody else. And that's an inevitable race to the bottom.
But because it's mining, if it is proof of work, because if this is mining, Alex, this is like getting into Bitcoin early. It's the new Bitcoin. It's
yes.
Jasmy.
You're right. I'm sorry. I forgot. This is just like Bitcoin.
And sorry, I said the new Bitcoin, but because Jasmy is the new Bitcoin, it's the new Jasmy.
Ah, yes. Well, Jasmy's been the new Bitcoin for years and still
For
not,
years and years.
actually.
I remember people were just like, Jasmy was the first regulatorily approved crypto in Japan. And I was like, if you Google this just one time, you will see that it was Bitcoin.
Yeah, Google is free, guys.
Google is free. I pay for ChatGPT, but Google is free. And guess what? Still pretty damn good.
Yeah, still pretty damn good. Actually, did you see the, this has nothing to do with crypto, but it does have something to do with the AI world. So there's been, who was it? Oh no, I'm going to have to look it up. I thought I could remember the whole thing off the top of my head. So basically, what I'm getting at here is the kind of race for like AI search specifically. And somebody please feel free to fact check me in case I get part of this wrong. I'll look it up after I finish my little thing. So Google has Gemini, and there's a bunch of stuff that it's like quite good at. Getting pretty good at search, and Google is kind of this behemoth rolling down that line. There was definitely some problems in the beginning, getting a lot better. And now with all of the interconnectedness inside of all of Google's different products, there's just a whole bunch of shit that Gemini can do. I mean, I open an email and I can see something in it, and Gemini will like summarize the email for me. I could ask it like, hey, do I have anything else like this in my inbox right now? What's the last time they emailed me? Did I reply to them? Like all these different things. Like, okay, whip up a reply for all of this, taking into account all the things that they've sent me so far. Like let's round it up, all that sort of stuff. Really good at that. Hey, pull something from Docs, because I think it's in my drive. Can you find where this thing is saved? I can't remember which account I saved it under or whatever. Pretty good. And now I got to look up who it is. Someone is in talks to buy Perplexity. And
didn't you say Perplexity is your favorite one?
Yes, for research. Yeah. Apple is looking at, so Apple's Apple AI announcement fell kind of flat. There really wasn't any new information, and a lot of like investors were very worried about that at whatever that big unveil thing was semi-recently, and just rolled out like really recent. I'll find the article and pull it up here. But that's what it was. Apple is like looking at buying Perplexity, which could be the thing that kind of like leapfrogs them ahead to in this world of like versus Google.
Now I'll never use Perplexity.
Well, we'll see. It hasn't happened yet, and I've used it very heavily in the past, I would say 2 months. Super curious to see if it changes or how. And I do pay for that one, so I have like Pro, and I also have Deep Research, which is pretty interesting. Definitely worth a look.
I'll probably just keep using ChatGPT. Like I have the app downloaded, it helps me, it does the things. You know,
yeah,
do you think it's really worth leaving ChatGPT for? You say Perplexity for research. What were the other? I know you experimented with all the AIs. Are there?
I use not all, but I use 3 regularly. I actively pay for 3. This isn't sponsored by any of these 3. I wish it was, because then I could save the payment for one of these things. I pay for Claude, Perplexity, and GPT.
So Perplexity for research. What do you use ChatGPT, and what do you use Claude for?
ChatGPT has the most information about me, so it's all of my, like everything Rise Up Media, everything business related. All my health stuff is in there. All of my like business systems and little frameworks and my content plans and my my just like executive assistants, the ones that like help me keep things organized. If I'm at a conference, I'll just like meet someone and get the little write-up and send it to GPT, and then it will put it into my write-up of like all of my different connections and who I know from where and all that sort of stuff. So it keeps like a running list of all that. It's kind of my like general purpose one. And then Claude is very specific for writing. I use it for creative writing specifically because I've just found it's way better at nailing like my tone and voice, and I just have a lot less editing to do. I'm very like picky about it, and I don't like to use it to like completely write something from scratch, but I love getting outlines for it and then going in and filling in a whole bunch of information. It helps me keep things structured because I'm kind of a yapper, you know. Sometimes I struggle with flow and structure and keeping things
You
organized.
sure are a yapper.
Hey, that's why I'm a talk show host. It's the perfect job for me.
It's the perfect job for you, dude. I think I've told every single person I know who I know has experienced a conference, because I was just like, they're all gonna think Alex is a fucking madman. And I've told them, I was like, hey, do you know how conferences are the worst thing on the planet? And they're like, yes, of course, conferences are the worst thing on the planet. I was like,
no,
I know somebody who is so fucked up that they feed off of it, and they're just like a maniac monster, just like living at their best life at that shit. It is Alex, and it's an amazing superpower. And then like I feel like Evan is just below you, but he'll get a little rundown. You could just like live in a conference like 24/7, like the entire year.
The longer I'm on the trade floor and the more people I talk to, the more energized I get.
I have about an hour and a half of energy, and it has to be when I'm fully caffeinated in the morning, and then afterwards I'm just like, hi, I'm gonna go now.
No, it's
and I'm
dude,
fucking toast.
But it's okay, because I will bear. That is a cross that I will happily bear for the company.
I'm so glad you're here for me. Oh,
I appreciate the recognition because it is not
everybody
easy.
Everybody thinks you're crazy, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Everybody.
Well,
It's 100%. I'm batting 1,000 on Alex is crazy.
but you know, honestly, and Evan says he does have limits. And it's true. I have to be Evan's cheerleader. And Evan, I do really. First of all, we do miss you, but you're doing God's work out there, and I do appreciate it, because if we couldn't be there, having someone on the ground at permissionless, shout out Aptos for making it possible for us this year. But it's important. I mean, that's where the industry lives, and I have learned so much of what I know from being at those things, and nothing else has made me realize how clueless 99% of people creating content about crypto are, because they don't go to these things. And
no, they go to the Bitcoin conference, and that is the least helpful one out of all of them.
That ain't it, Chief. Yeah, I've been to so many Bitcoin conferences. I'm done, dude. I don't think, unless I get paid to go to one, I'll never go to another one, to be very honest.
Oh, Evan's going to a Pudgy Penguin party. They're launching a game with Mythical. Oh, now I'm jealous.
That sounds like something that you could get jazzed up about.
Yeah, dude. Well, hey, I never have my
oh yeah,
my Pudgy Penguin cards are never far, dude.
I
and
love
this is
that
my
one,
favorite
dude.
one. It's clearly the best one.
That's a good one.
It's clearly the best one.
Did you see the cards
Romulus who roams.
Did you see the cards that Evan cracked?
Yes.
Uniswap's got packs to crack.
Yeah, and he got the 0x bread from Twitter, and like it's a pretty sick card.
They're cool. Yeah.
They were cool.
No, they're super cool. And
he got it signed by Bread.
Which is honestly
really fucking cool.
That's very cool. Yeah, there's probably not that many of those floating around.
Oh shit, Evan's a G. Bringing packs of Uniswap cards, and we'll get the Pudgy cards if they have them. Evan, I love you.
I can't wait to crack a Uniswap pack. That's exciting. Although, it would be cooler if you could scan a QR code and there was a token.
And there was a token, like an NFT kind of a thing. You know, guys, we're in Web3. We talk about all this stuff.
Tell Uniswap for V2. I want them tokenized.
It just seems like a hugely missed opportunity.
I mean, I think I've seen a couple of those comments. I know Nick Junis was saying too, like would love to have a tokenized version of these. So, I mean, Evan, I think like you said, people want the phygital. I just think that's the next evolution. I've been wishing, even before I knew that was an option, before I got into this whole crypto thing, I wanted that for my Magic cards, because there is Magic the Gathering, the physical game that you play with the cards on the table, and then there's Magic Arena, the computer game. And there's no real communication between the two. And so when I started getting into Arena, I had a lot of cards, but I couldn't do anything with all the cards that I had spent, let's just say a few dollars on in real life. Couldn't do anything with them. Just a few. Really just a few, dude. 1,000. And I just wanted them. I just wanted both versions. That's really what I wanted.
Why would you ever? Never mind. Why would you ever spend a few $1,000s on cardboard? I mean, that's not. I mean, that's not reasonable.
That bad.
That's reasonable. No. That's really reasonable.
Honestly, me saying a few thousand is hilariously reducing what I have done over the years. Although my first really big push into those came from one of the old BM1s, which is the first class petty officer when I was stationed on the cutter. He saw us all getting into it. He had a ton of cards, and he was like nearing retirement. He was kind of over it. It was like his ship hobby. You'd bring him on the boat, take him underway. We don't have internet in the middle of the ocean all the time. It's very spotty. TV signal sucks 300 miles offshore. So we all play Magic. Don't need any electricity to do that. And he just brought this like duffel bag into our, it's called a berthing area, into the room where I slept with 20 other men in the berthing area. In the berthing with an E. Yeah, dude, they stack us like little sardines. We're on shelves like 3 high, and literally from the top of your mattress to the ceiling on the rack above you, it's that tall. I could put my elbow on and the back of my hand flat on the top of the thing. So if you wanted to flip over, you had to wiggle out and turn back over and then get back in. Yeah, you could not flip over. It was like wider than your shoulders, or my shoulders were wider, and I'm not huge. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So in that room,
it was pretty cool.
He just brought all these cards and dumped them, and he's like, go nuts. And we just dove in, and I got some sweet cards out of that bag.
Nice, dude.
Oh, yeah.
That's a fun story. Good times with the bros.
Good times with lots of men in the middle of the ocean.
I will say, all the dudes. I will say, I think Magic the Gathering is the best of the actual card games.
Of course it
if
is.
You're actually playing the game.
It's a gentleman's game.
Magic is the best.
It is the best.
Pokemon is a child's game. Yu-Gi-Oh is better. Magic is the best.
Have you ever played Pokemon? Are you a collector, or did you play? Or did you both?
I played as a kid. However, the game is wildly different now than it is when I was a kid.
Okay.
There are more layers to it now. I couldn't tell you the rules. I just know it's a little bit more complicated than it was when we were kids.
Okay.
And I played Yu-Gi-Oh, but I mostly played Magic with my brother.
Gotcha. Yeah, Magic is one of those things where one of my friends that I was at the air station with, he kind of just started to get into it. We played Commander together a few times. He's put like 1 or 2 of his own decks together. I carry my decks in DeWalt like tool organizers because there's so many, and because buying deck boxes is very expensive, and the DeWalt boxes are cheap, and a deck of cards fits perfectly in like one of those little screw compartments. Anyway, life tip for you if you have a lot of cards.
There's one person writing this down like, oh,
I know.
Yeah.
For that one guy,
I
came
here
welcome.
For the crypto. I'm staying for the Magic.
Yeah, no, we can talk about something else. Although Tori is here, and actually, fun fact: the first time I met Tori, she was with her family on her way to. Tori, what was it? It was a super nerdy convention of some sort. Was it board games, or was it? You'll have to remind me. I don't remember exactly which one it was, but it was like one of the nerdiest things of all time. Gen Con. That's what it was. Anyway,
hang on a second. So I just saw something.
We just lost Will. He's gonna fall down a rabbit hole of looking up cards and nerd stuff and
No, this actually has to
share
do
your
with
screen. Share
the
your screen.
U.S. account deficit.
You just got really into this economic data really quick.
I did. Sorry. Fine. I'll share my screen. Share your screen. So the Kobisi letter over on Twitter, if you guys aren't following the Kobisi letter is wonderful. I think if you want macro updates over on Twitter, follow the Kobisi letter and also follow Jesse Cohen. Every now and again, he does post some very pro-Israel stuff, but for the most part, very good financial data. And so this is what I saw. So the U.S. current account deficit, so our debt, jumped by $138.2 billion in Q1 2025, or 44.3%, to a record $450.2 billion. The deficit rose 1.8% against our GDP. The current account deficit hit a whopping $1.8 trillion. This spike came as businesses rushed to front-load imports ahead of newly imposed tariffs on foreign goods. The U.S. trade imbalance is now at historic levels. So what that means is, so the trade balance is one of the really big things that Trump wants to, balance. The imbalance is what he wants to balance. And he's been using tariffs to do that. He also has a number of other objectives, probably the biggest being trying to decrease rates on bonds so we can restructure our debt at some point between now and like September, October. And you do that by driving the economy in the stock market down so that people try to run to safety, which are bonds. And I haven't looked at what bond rates were lately. So honestly, that's his main objective. But the marketing one is, well, we want free trade and we need to balance the imbalance in our trade because we do have an imbalance. However, something that doesn't get talked about is in trade, you have physical products and you have services. When it comes to physical products, the United States has had a deficit. We buy more than we sell, which on paper sounds bad because you're like, oh, that's a failing business, but it's actually pretty good for our economy.
We also have a shitload more people.
We have a ton of people. And also, we love buying stuff. We're a consumer economy.
We do.
That's how things go. But on the services side, the United States is in a large surplus. We push out way more services than we take in from the world. So we have a services surplus. But overall, we wanted to try to balance that a bit more. We will never have a perfectly balanced or surplus of physical products because we are a consumer economy. We buy stuff. That's what drives our economy. But Trump wants to try to balance it a little bit more. And right now, what we're looking at here from the Kobisi letter for the account deficit is that the initial reaction to tariffs drove the imbalance in trade for physical goods to all-time highs. But that is because of people front-running tariffs. So by people, I mean companies. Companies went and bought a ton of product from November when Trump won the presidency up to May. I think it was May when the first tariffs went in, or was it April? It was May or April when the first tariffs went into place. So companies were buying a ton of stuff. So we are bringing in way more at a historic level, and the trade imbalance got even worse. So now we get to watch the data of the next quarter to see, there's going to be a big swing back down now because people already bought a bunch of the products that they needed. They don't need to buy as many products now, particularly because they don't want to have to pay the tariff. So you're going to have a big swing in the opposite direction. So it's probably not going to be until Q3 of this year where you're going to see the true impact on trade balance for the United States and what that's going to look like moving forward if our tariffs remain the way they currently are. Hopefully that made sense.
Is it ever, so I don't know that much about this stuff, so I appreciate the breakdown. You mentioned like a product deficit, but a service surplus. Are those two things not compared?
No.
They don't. Why not?
So you can include them in the total trade for the United States, right? And overall, it is a deficit.
Okay.
Because there's
even
way
if you
more,
put those two things next
even
to
if
each
you
other?
put those two things together. But
Okay.
like with everything in economics, there are really good marketing headlines, and then there's what's actually happening, and there's always just a little bit more. And so the big marketing tagline is the United States stops making stuff. Like, we're not making stuff. We don't have things to sell to people, right? That's the implication. But the thing is like, we have a lot to sell to people. It just tends to be, on the good side, very expensive, high-end items, particularly like electronics, and R&D is where we get a bunch of things from. And just like in, oh God, what's the other category? I forget. But the other thing too, services. We sell a shit ton of services to the world, so much so to the point where we are in a surplus for services. So it's kind of like, okay, if you're looking to balance trade, you can do one of two things, and you could probably do both. One is continue to invest in the thing that is giving you a surplus, services, expand that. I forget exactly what services we do that are like really, really popular. I could solve that with a quick Google. Because again, guys, Google is free. But the thing is also you do want to try to balance your sell of goods for a consumption economy enough to the point where you keep some manufacturing at home. Like, it is good to make sure that U.S. steel remains a thing. The United States needs to be able to produce its own steel from a national security standpoint. The United States needs to have a certain amount of automotive factories for the purpose of, again, national security, because if the United States were ever attacked, what immediately happens is all industry gets taken by the government and turned into military production immediately. And there are solutions in place to do that, and other industries as well. So you do want to make sure that your production of goods is balanced enough to the point where you can be competitive enough to have the manufacturing capability to be able to continue to run and defend your own national security, right? That's something you want to think about as well. That's not economics. That is, again, national security. And then also at the same time, you want to make sure from an economic standpoint, you have enough jobs for, blue collar folk. So you want to make sure that that part of the economy, those people in your government, not government, but your country are, able to get jobs and make money and pay bills and spend and buy and all that stuff.
You know what I just can't help but think about every time we kind of start to go down these various roads is that, one of the things that would solve, I guess, or not, I wouldn't say solve. I don't, this is not my area of expertise necessarily. So I wouldn't pontificate to say that, that this would like solve anything, but I just think, a weak dollar in general just hurts like so many of these things. And if anything that we've seen recently could just like, I think, make a massive impact on the strength of the dollar, it would be a stablecoin.
Well, a weak dollar isn't necessarily bad, because
Okay,
what a
explain.
weak. So if your goal is, I want to make sure we improve and bolster our manufacturing sector more, you want a weak dollar. Because if your dollar is weaker, what happens is your stuff is cheaper. People can buy your stuff for cheaper, which makes your products more competitive on the market. So weakening the dollar boosts manufacturing, and it boosts job creation, unless it's replaced by robots, for, the middle class. So that's what a weak dollar does. Now, the dollar will never be weak because it is the world reserve currency. There's going to be global demand for the dollar for forever, so long as it remains the global reserve currency, because people need it. So there will always be countries who need it, and the dollar will always be strong. The other thing too is the United States is no longer a manufacturing empire. Ever since World War II, we transitioned to a financial empire. Financially, you want the dollar to, for your financial empire, you want the dollar to be, let's see, if you were like on a scale, so strong, weak, you always want the dollar to be on this half of that scale, because a financial empire remains strong if there is demand for the underpinning piece of the monetary part of your empire, the dollar, right? There needs to be demand for your financial services to continue the empire, and we are a financial empire. So The dollar will always be on that strong side. It's just where on that strong side. The moment it goes weak is a huge problem for the US because, again, we are a financial empire, not a manufacturing one. But that doesn't mean you can't tweak things here and there. You do need to make sure you have manufacturing and all that for all the reasons we spoke about earlier.
That makes sense.
It's just that if your dollar becomes too strong, then your manufacturing sector really gets hit hard because your stuff becomes so much more expensive for the rest of the world to buy.
So I guess like what's the general way, I guess, that it weakens and strengthens?
So it can weaken through inflation. Okay. And at the end of the day, it all kind of boils down to trust. So does the world have trust and faith in the US dollar remaining responsible, if you will? So if, like, a lot of people talk about they want Trump to fire Jerome Powell. If that were to happen, by the way, it can't. I mean, technically it can, but it's by Congress, and he would have to do something like ridiculously irresponsible. Otherwise, he's here until his term's over. Also, Jerome Powell was appointed by Trump, which is also funny when Trump's like, Jerome Powell's an idiot. I'm like, you appointed him in 2017.
He has a track record of saying people he appointed are idiots.
This is true. But anyway, so like if Jerome Powell were thrown out, this would make a lot of people really worried about monetary policy for the dollar, and also just like the sanctity of the Fed, because having a system that works a certain way makes the dollar reliable. And if you just started cutting immediately based on the whim, or raising rates based on political whim too, people would be really worried about that also, because they're like, oh God, money is in the hand of politicians who are going to do whatever they need to do monetarily in order to get reelected. Versus economists. That is an entirely different world. And so you could have the trust barometer on the dollar go down. The dollar would weaken. The dollar also weakens if the world thinks that the US can't get a grip on its debt. That reduces faith in the United States system. That's why you see our ratings from like Moody's and the like on our ability to pay off our debt has been downgraded from absolutely perfect to almost perfect, which is still pretty damn high, but still downgraded.
And that just happened, didn't it?
It did, but there are three main institutions that provide those kinds of grades. There's Moody's, there's, what is it, the NASDAQ? I forget the other two. But Moody's was the last one to do it, and they just did it like a month or two ago. But the ones before that were in like 2022 and then like 2019, like 2017. Like it's been a long time coming. So, you know, if people, but again, it all kind of boils down to trust. If like the economy of the United States is really bad and people don't think the economy is ever going to come back, by the way, the United States is the most resilient economy in the world. It's probably going to come back if it were to go through a recession. But because again, financial empire, US dollar is the reserve world currency, the US economy would come back.
I've got the other two for you.
Yeah, what are they?
S&P global rating.
S&P. I said NASDAQ. I knew it was like NASDAQ or S&P. Yeah.
I was exactly today years old when I found out what S&P stands for.
I don't even think I know what S&P stands for, actually.
You know what? Not only did I not know, I've never thought about it once.
I've never thought about it once because I just go, it's the S&P.
Does anybody know what it stands for? Because I had no idea. And if you had like told me to guess, would not have been this.
Super and profitable.
Nailed it.
500.
The third one is Fitch, the Fitch rating. Those are the big three that dominate the global credit rating market. Each uses its own rating scale and methodology to assess the ability of a country or issuer to meet its financial obligations. Other notable institutions that also provide sovereign credit ratings include DBRS Morningstar, the Japan Credit Rating Agency, or JCR. China has one that I can't pronounce, and I won't do China collectively the disservice of me trying. And then Dagong, which I don't know. I assume that's another Asian market rating scale, the global credit rating.
Mm-hmm. But overall, it's just trust. Like something else that is very dramatic, a very dramatic example that would cause the value of the dollar to plummet is if there was a civil war. You know, a civil war would cause a pretty big lack of faith and trust in the US dollar kind of sticking around.
A little bit, yeah.
And then things that could boost the value of the dollar. I mean, if we get a grip on our spending as a nation, that would increase the strength of the dollar. If you hike rates, it increases the strength of the dollar. And if there are other problems in the world with other big currencies, like if the euro suddenly had problems with the Chinese yuan, well, they purposely weaken their dollar because they're a manufacturing empire. They're a manufacturing empire. They want that weak dollar. So it's always going to be on that side until they change the economy. But if the euro were to collapse or whatever, you'd see the dollar start to shoot up in value as people dove to things they could trust. And like, I mean, that's it. It really just boils down to trust.
Gotcha. I mean, it makes sense.
Also, what does the S&P stand for?
Standard and Poor.
Oh, wait. Jay Swiss knew.
Yep. Yeah, Joe nailed it. Standard and Poor's.
Oh my God, it is Joe. I just saw her picture. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so it stands for Standard and Poor's, which is now part of S&P Global. The name originates from the 1941 merger of the two financial information companies, Poor's Publishing, founded in the 1860s by Henry Varnum Poor, and Standard Statistics Bureau, founded in 1906.
The more you know.
Yeah. So they're best known for the credit rating and then for creating the S&P 500 stock market index, which tracks, of course, 500 of the largest U.S. companies. Interesting. The more you know.
And knowledge is power, and knowing's half the battle. G.I. Joe.
I just always see the more you know, the SpongeBob rainbow.
Yeah. Imagination.
Huh. Honestly, the part about that that concerns me is never once in my life have I ever stopped to think, like, that has to stand for something. I wonder what it is.
Because, like,
I say it every day, and I never think about it.
Because it's not important.
No, not really. I mean, like, it's one of those things we all know what it is, but I bet you most people don't know what it stands for. Or maybe I'm just an idiot. Anyway.
Oh. Anywho's. Oh, this has nothing to do with crypto. I know we have a few questions from Discord we could talk about.
Yeah.
But honestly, and if you're watching this and you have no knowledge about me, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but I really liked what he did today. He was doing some good stuff. I was like, finally, we're back on track in this category where he was like, hey, Article 5 of NATO, yeah, we're here for it, fully support it. I'm like, oh, sweet. If you guys don't know, that is if any ally in NATO were to get attacked, all members of NATO would come and support them. And you know, for a long time, Trump was like, that's dumb, not doing that. And then everyone's like, wow. But he came out today and was like, yep, fully support it. And I was like, oh, that's really nice. And then that's nice to finally hear. And then he was like, hey, yeah, Ukraine, yeah, we can figure out some different ways to support him. Anyway, also, like, Putin's the only person now, like, I really need help dealing with. And he's just, like, talks some shit about Putin, too. And I was like, finally, we're finally getting to where we need to be in this, in my personal opinion. And I was like, now let's just open I know we started doing it, but let's just start opening up some of our good old-fashioned military industrial complex to Ukraine again. And I'm all thumbs up on this arena.
That's a really weird one that, like, for some reason just became super divisive. You know, like,
what, Article 5 on NATO?
Well, yeah, also that. But no,
that one was crazy to me.
The idea
how are
to
we arguing about this?
Be able to, like, militarily suppress a major adversary without jeopardizing the health and safety of a single U.S. troop. Like, as a former member of the United States military, I don't know why we're not more into that. We got a fat checkbook, so, you know, use it for something good, I guess. I don't know. I kind of agree with Mike, though. I'm like, dude, whenever something like this happens, I'm like, yeah, you say that now, but give it 30 minutes.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth. It's all a part of his, what's his negotiating book called again? The Art of the Deal. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
He got his 5% spending from NATO on defense, everyone except for Spain. It was funny. If you watched his interview, he was talking about, like, oh, like, these people are great, these people are great. And the lady was like, how about Spain? He's like, are you from Spain? She's like, yeah. She goes, congratulations, Spain. She's like, Spain sucks. And I was like, you know, you can dislike the guy. I do dislike him, but the memes that come out of him, man, are just, they're so good.
I'll never deny that there's not great memes.
Good. Oh.
I just wish that the meme wasn't running
The
most
president.
powerful country in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, we can dream, and
Yep.
let's hope.
Oh, Magic, his soundbite was great. I did repost it, and I was like, I have watched this soundbite 10 times in a row, and it was him just being like, Iran and Israel don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I was like, that's a t-shirt.
That's
like,
got some massive
that's a
meme
t-shirt.
potential for sure.
That's a t-shirt. He's going to start selling that as a t-shirt. And you know what? I'd probably buy it. It's pretty great.
It's everything is a t-shirt, and everything can be sold for $24.99.
I hope it's branded on a Trump steak, which I know he doesn't sell anymore, but I still think very fondly on the fact that he was selling Trump steaks, and that was in his first campaign.
Yeah, they did go out of business pretty spectacularly.
Oh.
One of many bankruptcies.
I wonder if they have any leftovers.
Do you want one?
Kind of.
Do you want gangrene?
I wouldn't eat it. I'd just be like, yeah, there it is. Toss.
Yeah, we're going to reawaken the bubonic plague by unearthing.
With Trump steaks.
So let's hit we had a question from a newer member of the Discord to take it back to something a little bit more crypto related. The question was, why is everybody every day bombarding me about XRP? Mostly with ridiculous price predictions.
Well,
it's crazy.
Because it's going to go to $1,000 because it's the new infrastructure for the banks and also Bitcoin. Also, it's the new internet. And can you believe it can also give you a hand job? Man, XRP, it's
It
crazy.
cleans and presses your slacks.
It cleans and presses your slacks. What can't XRP do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
The only limit is your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's why everyone talks about it, because it's literally the greatest thing to ever grace the world. You're all welcome to be in its presence.
And I'm curious about this, and I've meant to ask, because a lot of the people we bring on from crypto organizations and stuff, like they're largely on Twitter, right? They're not on TikTok too much. Yes. And they say like, hey, whenever I go on TikTok, it's just XRP, 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 XRP. Yes. Is it really just TikTok?
Yes.
YouTube, Twitter, Instagram?
There is a Twitter presence for it a little bit. It's largely not the people who are on crypto Twitter. There is more than one like niche on Twitter, and it's dominated by conservative Gen Xers who are more involved in the political side of social media than they are in the crypto side. And if they have any crypto inclinations, it will be for XRP. And that's largely where that enthusiasm lives. But no, it is pretty predominantly TikTok. And it always catches people off guard. And what's interesting is that if you go to these major conferences and you're, rubbing elbows with people who work in the industry, no one really has anything bad. That's where all of the ambivalence towards Ripple and XRP lives. Like, you're wondering why my opinion of XRP is what it is, which is just that, like, I don't really care about it. Like, it's sure, I don't have any major issues with it. I don't think it's a scam. I don't think that, I think a lot of their marketing is probably overhyped, but I mean, dude, show me a crypto company that isn't overhyping their marketing, right? They all have something left to be desired. Their token, none of the tokens are as good as people say they are, but that's the nature of marketing. That's the nature of selling, is just to like zhuzh up what you got a little bit, Mm-hmm. So only on TikTok, amongst people who do not work here, would you see the hardcore hatred or obsession with a token in general. There are known scams that like people will definitely hate on who are in the industry. Like you would never find anybody who has anything favorable to say about FTT ever again.
Oh,
obviously, because we all know it was a scam, right? But XRP, no. And honestly, generally, like when I talk to people in the industry who are unfamiliar with how TikTok works and kind of like, what's it like over there? Speak of the devil. There's the guy. I'll call him back.
Nice.
Yeah. I for the record, I did call that was going to happen.
You did?
I did. But anyway, they're always very surprised to hear that that it's so popular. And that's kind of that's kind of one of my calling cards. Like when I'm at a conference and I'm talking to people about why they need to get on TikTok, it's like, you don't understand how many people are on TikTok that are interested in learning more about this, and your refusal to show up for them means that the void will get filled with who does show up for them, and that's the XRP conspiracy theory rumor mill. So XRP and Ripple, thank you for your absence on any other social media platform besides crypto Twitter. That's it.
Well, now that I'm building my account again, you know what that means. Time to start posting some XRP hate comment to fuel some engagement. Nah, I don't hate XRP. Not anymore. I used to be a hater for sure, and now I'm just like, hey, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, Ripple, you guys did a great job helping the industry with the SEC. I have nothing against Ripple. I don't really have anything against XRP. I think it's a great token to trade. I don't view it as an investment though. And
they're everywhere.
You know what? Yeah.
They had a booth at Consensus. I'm sure they've got one. They're a Ruby sponsor, permissionless right now. They're everywhere. You know, like it's
because they got that infinite money.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have a lot of money, but you know, the other thing that they have is they just nailed. First of all, they have X in their ticker, which, to be very honest with you, it sounds silly when you say it like this. That is truly all it takes. If you want your crypto to be adopted by the same rumor mill that foams at the mouth, put an X in it. XDC, XLM, and XRP are not related. In fact, Jed McCaleb is on record routinely decrying the affiliation that he gets publicly with XRP as a token between XLM and XRP. The two of them are not working on the same things. They do not have the same goals. They are completely different companies run by different people doing different things with different parts of the world.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, well then, Stellar, you could rebrand. And they're like, no. The X is a sexy.
The X does work.
The X does work. Yeah.
Yep. But that's it. I mean, you know, someone tell me what the hell XDC does, because I couldn't tell you the last time I heard anything about it other than someone who was shilling me XRP telling me that, oh, also get some of this.
I think I was getting,
don't ask me any questions.
I think I was getting XDC in comments in my comment section like a year ago now at this point.
Yeah, it's always one of those like afterthoughts.
To be fair, a year ago in my head is probably like 3 months ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that timeline.
That timeline in the head is funky.
Yeah, you've heard of dog years. In crypto years, 6 months is actually 400 years, which is why we're all so bedraggled.
1,000 eons.
But no, I hope that answers the question a little bit. Really, truly, like what the whole thing boils down to is just that it's very easy to get attention when you talk about XRP. All you have to do is say something about the Great Reset. I will say though, like just for anyone listening, please just know that no one is the victim of more bullshit scam attempts than people who are into XRP.
The Flare airdrop happened a long time ago.
The Flare airdrop is not a thing anymore. You cannot sign up for it. You can't send anyone anything to get into it. It's long done. So anyone who's DMing you about that, block them. QFS is a scam. Anyone trying to tell you that you need to connect your wallet and transfer your tokens over to this, that, and the other special Web3 whatever. Evan just did a video today about one of those things. It's a scam. All of it's a scam. And unfortunately, the reason that XRP gets targeted, or I should say holders get targeted so much by that is really, truly just because they know that the target crowd that like is most into it is kind of that like elder Gen X. It's the ones who are more concerned about participating in this great reset or whatever. And for some reason, we all believe that eventually Ripple is just going to buy back everyone's XRP for a ridiculous amount of money, which is, you just like pause and say that out loud and ask yourself if that makes any sense. Something that they own billions of that they could make more of if they wanted to. Why would they do that? Why would
Because the banks are going to use up all the XRP and they're going to have to buy the XRP from the people again to then give it back to the banks, even though...
Nailed it.
By the way, bank transfers, if you go from dollar through XRP into euro, which is the current Ripple solution, should get replaced with a stablecoin. But by the way, if that happens, the banks only need, like, let's say they're doing a $10 million transaction. The bank only needs like $100,000 worth of XRP. They just do that a few times and it happens super, super quickly. And that's it. There you go. The demand from the banks is going to be, it would be big. It's going to be a little bit smaller than you think, though.
I would love to talk to like someone who works in international banking and see how viable a solution like that actually is.
They'd be like, international regulations make us use Swift, so no. And then they'd be like, oh, cool, okay.
Which does lead us to another conspiracy theory victim, which is anything that is ISO 20022 compliant.
Oh, God. That trend was super dumb.
Still a trend.
I don't really hear about it too much anymore, though.
You're not in the right circles. I'll tell you that confidently. It's still everywhere. I hear it all the time. All the time. Like, what do you hold? Just the ISO stuff. Why?
Because the banks will need to use these crypto products.
That's it. You should have just stopped at because.
Because.
But
the banks won't need to use it. They'll just be ISO compliant with their current systems that they have today. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, it's, dude.
I'm sorry.
It's one of those things. But without nonsense conspiracy theories, the world would probably stop spinning.
Or, yeah, maybe the world would be better off. The conspiracy would stop. The Earth would stop spinning. Gravity would weaken. We'd all just get launched off into space.
Just float away.
Yep. Maybe as I float, there'd be a dolphin next to me.
Maybe.
I'm
so glad I don't have that sound on my board. I feel like you would find a way to push the button from all the way over there if you did.
Just dive into through the internet. Haha. Because I own an FXRP, I've begun superpowers, Alex.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And also, my pants are so neatly folded and pressed.
Amen, brother. I don't know that there's really any. I'm trying to think who else is like the victim of massive amounts of like conspiracy theories.
Oh, Jasmine,
yeah, but I mean, kind of like you said, that one's definitely like losing a little bit of its oomph.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the Jasmine chart in a long time. Let me just take a gander.
Yeah. All over Twitter. Yep.
Oh yeah, Jasmine's dead. It had a fun time, and then it died. It hit its high during the week of December, and it fell 85.5%, and currently it's 78% down from there. So
yikes.
It's also below every single major key exponential moving average you could ever think about putting on your chart. So it's not looking great.
Just remember, in the wonderful world of crypto, something can fall 90% and it can still fall another 90%.
Probably.
That's how that works.
But all you need is another conspiracy theory, and away you go.
It's true. You never know. I mean, there are literally still people who trade Luna Classic.
Yeah. Yeah, there's trading volume there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and the stablecoin, which is monumentally depegged. So here's a question from Joe. Won't Visa and MasterCard and American Express do their own stablecoins? Probably. This was kind of what William Quigley was starting to get into the last time that we had him on the show. It was just this idea that one of the things that the Genius Act will do is kind of open the doors for more of these institutions to experiment in that world, which I think is probably the case. My reason for thinking that is really, truly just, well, first of all, that, who's it? Amazon and Walmart are already talking about it. Because you can so drastically cut down the spend for transactions on the platform if you own the rail and also the currency that's being transacted. And so essentially what you're doing is charging, like Amazon, for example, would be a great example of this. Charge money from the user on the platform. That volume all happens in your own stablecoin. No one needs to be any the wiser to its existence. And off you go. You're spending less. You're making more. Margins go up. You don't even have to raise the cost of the good to increase your margin with something like that. So yes, I would say pretty confidently, yeah.
And also, we know Visa's been experimenting with stablecoins on Solana for a few years now.
Same with MasterCard.
And I'm sure they've been experimenting on Ethereum Layer 2s as well.
American Express entering the fold too with the Bitcoin card.
Yep,
with
I'm signed up for it.
Me too. Yep, very curious about that one. I think a bunch more of that. I mean, American Express is kind of going through a bit of a rebrand as well too. I think the article I was reading was just in competition with Chase Sapphire who's doing some refreshing as well, and dropping new features. I know they're adding more lounges. American Express is adding more lounges. There's some new Centurion lounges being built, and then also adding access to a different kind of lounge that already exists. And then, I mean, everything from new card designs to more benefits, more perks, all that kind of stuff. I think specifically for the Platinum card here, which it competes with Chase Sapphire.
I think so. I have Chase Sapphire also.
Okay.
I just use it for business expenses and a few other things.
Do they have relatively similar annual fees?
I don't know, man. I pay what I pay.
Yeah.
I honestly have no idea what the annual fees are. I want to say Chase Sapphire is like $500 and Amex is like $600 or something like that.
$7.
Yeah.
$6.95. Yeah.
They're comparable.
Yeah. I do have a Platinum card, but military has free ones. So that's why. Oh,
I thought Christina was saying, is Alex coming from Jordan? And I was like, in the country of Jordan?
no. Go to bed.
Yeah, that's your Jordan. Go to bed.
Go to bed. Grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so no, I firmly expect to see more of that, more of the stablecoin stuff, to be honest. I think that's just going to continue to rip. You heard Aishwari on the show. I keep meaning to look up exactly which episode number that was. It was relatively recent, but more of that. I mean, the volume's just picking up. There's more and more people interested in it. Like we said on the morning show this morning, the volatility risk is just not there. The interest, the yield farming potential is there. I expect that will continue to grow. Although yield-bearing stablecoins is specifically outlined as a thing that is like not cool in the Genius Act. So, but I think that's a little bit different than just like a third party being able to offer yield on something, not necessarily yield-bearing by itself. We'll see kind of how that goes, though. That's one of my hangups for sure.
Yeah, that'd be. Well, you said that the door is still open for earning yield on your stablecoin through a platform designed for it, but not earning interest on your stablecoin just for having a stablecoin.
Yeah, like the difference between what Blast wants to do or wanted to do or is doing with their token versus Morpho vaults or Aave pools or lending borrowing protocols, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But I think that it kind of opens an interesting conversational door with this idea of like, okay, well then what does it mean specifically? Because do we really have any examples of that? And I don't necessarily know specifically. I'd have to do a little bit of digging, but I feel like the potential for that's kind of cool. You think about it, just like a network itself that is, stable in nature, that just pays you for participating in it. Like if you're, but they would have to probably have not just the asset, but also Rails and apps. You'd be building things on top of it. I think it kind of would be interesting. Like Circle could get into that, but I don't actually. I'm gonna poke a little bit right now because I don't know of any great examples of that being a thing right now that would be in jeopardy of being binned if Genius passes fully.
Oh, while you look that up, as a content creator, I'm always trying to find ideas to make videos on, and I'm gonna get more into like altcoin deep dive reviews again. I mean to do that. I'm starting to get the time to do it, and so I was like, let me just run to ChatGPT and see if it can just scrub TikTok real quickly and tell me what are the top coins people are talking about, because I can do reviews on those. I have to ask it again. Oh wait, hang on a second. No, I did it on my phone. Let me pull that up, because the garbage that it just threw at me was upsetting to see, and I was like, I'm not making any videos on this. One second. I need someone to fill for me in my stalling. Oh God, here it is. Mudang, Just a Chill Guy, Skibbity Toilet, Pinot Meme Coin, Broccoli, Pepe, Bonk, and Trump are all, according to ChatGPT, the hottest trending coins to talk about on TikTok. And I saw that list and I was like, you gave
Awful.
me 0 coins to talk about. I would literally just be like, hey, Moo Dang, it's
Garbage.
anyway, Pepe is also another meme coin, and Bonk's a meme coin, and Trump's a meme coin, and Skibbity Toilet. Great fundamentals. Great fundamentals for Skibbity Toilet. And I was just like,
unparalleled use case.
yeah, and I was just like, cool. I'll just pick Zbeck. It's like, I'll just do one on Zbeck. At least there's something to talk about there.
God, that's an awful list, dude. That
It's a
makes me
truly
bearish on
horrific
AI.
list.
See, it's still early. Like AI's got a long way to go.
Yeah, I was. I need to ask it a few more questions to see if like anything it's able to scrounge comes up, because I feel like I don't. Well, then again, my TikTok feed is very not crypto.
Very different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an answer. And actually, this kind of makes me think that this is actually sort of surprising. So yeah, there are native yield-bearing stablecoins. The biggest example of which is USDY, which is backed by short-term U.S. Treasuries and bank deposits, and you might recognize it as being the primary product of Ondo Finance.
Okay, cool.
I will say, just to look at Magic's comment here in the chat, Crow is an interesting one to talk about. I had honestly...
Chronos?
Yes. So, here's the thing. Surprisingly high volume. Surprisingly high, whatchamacallit? Oh my God, brain fart. On exchange volume for crypto.com. Like, it's surprisingly high on the rankings. Not to mention the marketing spend of that. Still, I can't imagine like what it has taken so far, because there's an arena, that was cheap. The headliner for the
UFC, right? Yeah.
that's also probably super cheap. So they're spending a ton. I mean, they've got commercials everywhere. They've had a Super Bowl ad before, and they're still going. So it's one of those that's like, it's really interesting because I don't hear anything about the network. I don't hear anything about anything happening on the network or like what Crow's being used for. That would be a weird one to kind of, or an interesting one to dig into. Just like, how are they spending that much and still fine? Like, is the exchange really making that much money?
Let's just see. Yeah, its chart looks bad. I mean, it has moments, something you can potentially trade, but like it'll shoot up for like 5 days in a row, like multiple hundreds of percentage points, and then just crater. It's not even something to really trade. Doesn't have healthy trading either. But I mean, I saw the comment here from Portuguese, and I have to double check that, but 1.6 billion Crow is added every month for the next 5 years. I'd have to look into that. But Portuguese, you have also been very, very consistent with your comments about syrup. And Alex, what is syrup? I haven't looked.
We looked at it ages ago. I don't remember. Evan ran the deep dive.
I just saw your comment. It's no syrup, am I right?
Now I'm just razzing him.
So what
I'm still waiting for a thought on syrup besides it went up in price, because I don't accept that as a valid thought, because you've been asking me about this a lot for a long time. Now I'm going to have to pull it up again and refresh my memory. I don't like, if I already forgot, it's because
this is Maple Finance.
Oh, is it that one? Okay, maybe I was confusing it with a different one. Oh, okay, yeah, we did it. We did a full coverage on Maple.
We did full coverage on Maple, but I don't remember it at all. We did a grade on it.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yep. Evan led the charge on that one. He did the
second.
research on that one.
Let me go into our old altcoin grades, and I won't remember anything about the product, but I can at least see what our grade for it was.
It was a more recent one, I think.
Oh God, dude! Even me, I go to Discord, and I'm like, all right, where do I go to do the stuff and the things?
While you're doing that, I will say that the entire structure for Circle is built. All of the chats and channels and post forums and everything are constructed in there, and we're getting close. I think we're gonna be bringing mods over soon, and then premium after that.
Okay, I found the correct one. Let's see. Agglayer, DYOR Protocol, Uniswap, Deep, Tars AI, Tau. This one was just 3. We did Say, Stacks, Injective, and then I just wrote with a smiley face. We got distracted. We only did 3 that night.
I do remember that.
Yeah, I remember
very
that.
distracted.
Let's see. Hyperliquid, Vapor Farm, Jeepin, Anon, Sui. Do. Scallop, Deepbook, Navi, Wormhole, Virtuals.
It was after that. I remember that episode. That was a long time ago.
Damn, Virtuals Protocol just wrote no.
Yeah, dude, I vividly remember. I mean, it was like trendy, but what contributed to my no score? I think it was just a garbage website with awful literature. I stand by that given what I knew at the time.
I'm not seeing it.
Maybe it wasn't on I don't think we graded it. I think it was just like Evan did a feature on it on one of the shows. I'd have to pull it up again. I'll ask him about it. It's one of those. I mean, I can pull up Maple over here too. It's
yeah, no grade.
No. I would just search for Maple in Discord and see if we talked about it, but
Asset management on chain. Secure expert-led financial products for individuals and institutions.
Yep.
Trusted by Circle, Coinbase, Bitwise, yada, yada, yada. Institution quality yield in a single liquid asset. Liquid yielding $6.4% for the Syrup USDC. 7% on your USDC, 4 to 6% Bitcoin yield, 9.7% high yield for collateral. For what? No, that doesn't make sense. You can borrow, you can loan. Which means we should be able to pull this up on DeFi Llama.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Syrup. Maple Finance, DeFi Llama. Okay, let's share the screen. Present. So this is Maple Finance, has 1.8 billion in TVL, with that largely starting in April of this year, and it's seen it's seen a lot of growth. The amount of Ethereum on here has really been skyrocketing.
Interesting.
There's something here.
What about do they have I don't see revenue. Oh, I do. That's it. Revenue.
5.6 million.
Okay, so a little something.
Revenue of the past 30 days was $500,000. So they got something.
Wonder what the discrepancy on TVL is, because their reported TVL on their website homepage is a lot higher than what DeFi Llama reports.
Yeah. Let's see. $680 million market cap. Number 93 coin. Let's also just... let's do this. Well, I mean, hell. Let's see. Did this start in April? January, March, April, May. Yeah, so as the TVL started erupting, the price started going up. So I would say that's pretty healthy. TVL going up, price going up. That's a pretty healthy coin. Weekly chart. Shit. Yeah. Syrup's looking good. Portubeast. You've been talking about it for a while, man. Oh. Forgot about that.
Yep.
That's pretty solid. Nice job. I'm going to write that down as point to maybe make a video on.
There you go.
Portuguese, thank you. Your consistency has paid off. Honestly, with the name, I honestly thought it was just like a crappy meme coin.
Yeah, the name is terrible.
The name's awful. I thought it was a
shitty
shitty meme coin.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, Portuguese, you're really. I thought you were just like shilling a meme coin. I'm sorry.
No, it's bad. It's pretty bad.
It's a really bad name. They should have. I don't know. Even if they left it as Maple, I don't know.
I mean, MPL.
Yeah.
I don't know if it,
Maple Finance.
Yeah, a lot of better options. But
Portuguese, thanks, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, dude, I'll make a video on this for sure. Because like, it's getting adoption.
Yeah, I definitely would be curious to see where the TVL is coming from.
Yeah, well, the money's there, baby.
No, it is. I mean, that TVL is TVL. I will say, of course, like, to play devil's advocate, not all TVL is created equal. A heavy inflow, newer TVL is better than older TVL, just because, how much of it is locked up in old dead contracts, that kind of thing. But I mentioned
this is new TVL.
Yeah. And no, we definitely know Syrup is the ticker. We're just saying Syrup is a terrible name.
Yeah. It's a bad name. But hey, people like money.
Damn.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my darling. Hello, my time.
I had a thought. It'll come back. As I was telling Will before we went live, I've had just an unbelievably lengthy day. And one of the many things that I do day to day is deal with unhappy people on vacation who are experiencing problems. And let me tell you, that's awful. It's truly awful. Had a lengthy argument with someone who I knew exactly what the problem was, but like I couldn't tell them that their problem was that they were dumb. I had to like try to maneuver them into figuring it out so that I didn't have to say that, but it's just like, the pool code doesn't work. It's like, okay, yes it does. Type it incorrectly, and great things will happen for you. So I'm just wiped out. But I did want to touch back on something just that I found interesting about the Genius and USDY specifically. So there is a specific line item in the Genius Act about this whole yield-bearing stablecoins thing, which directly impacts Ondo Finance and USDY, which I find interesting because there's a lot of connections. Like if you want to start falling down that kind of conspiracy rabbit hole, who has connections to Securitize? Between David Sachs, the crypto czar, of course, you've got Paul Atkins, the new head of the SEC. Ondo has just been in all the right conversations with all the right big money players. There's quite a bit of institutional interest there, which is sort of one of those. I mean, the BlackRock interest for sure, the Biddle Fund, all that good stuff, right? All these buzzy names of people that are always in those shady conversations. So the Genius Act, amongst its key provisions, requires all payment stablecoins to be backed one to one by high quality liquid assets such as cash, short-term U.S. Treasuries. That's, in that sense, that's good because that's what Ondo is backed by, or not Ondo, sorry, USDY. Mandates robust compliance with AML, yeah, naturally. Bank Secrecy Act requirements, naturally. And bars payment stablecoin issuers from paying yield to holders. So what does that mean? USDY is a tokenized debt instrument, not a traditional stablecoin, backed by short-term U.S. Treasuries and bank deposits, and it distributes yield to holders by increasing the redemption value of the token over time. Current compliance. So USDY is issued under a Reg S offering. I have to Google that. Unless, Will, you know what that is?
Nope.
Me neither. Not currently available to U.S. investors, so there's that. Targeting only non-U.S. persons who self-certify their status. Okay, so the impact of Genius on this is just that it specifically targets payment stablecoins, not those intended for use as a medium of exchange. So there's the carve-out. The act bars these from paying yield to holders. Okay, so honestly, it's just a loophole.
Also, a Regulation S or Reg S offering is a securities offering conducted outside of the United States to non-U.S. persons, exempt from registration with the U.S. SEC.
Okay, got it. Oh yeah, duh. I knew that. That's why. I was one of the projects that I had consulted on last year, where they were in the process of applying for that. Okay, that's where I knew I had heard the term before, but I wasn't familiar.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, I'm starting.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's hit to some final thoughts, and let's land this plane. I will make our final quick topic of conversation just answering Joe's question here. Aptos got some action. What's hype doing? So I will answer by punting this ball to next week because fortunately I'm meeting with a new friend of mine, Jen, who is doing some work with Hyperliquid. She's a phenomenal content creator. I'm very jealous of the quality of content that she puts out. She's so good. So hoping to get a little bit of advice there, but also I want to talk about Hyperliquid. Evan is also either met last night or is today or tomorrow doing a little bit of digging over there with the hype people in permissionless. So I'm assuming that he might be able to bring us a little bit of an update tomorrow morning, Joe, so I can get you some more information there. But by all accounts, I mean, money's flowing over there. So that's one that is on my short list to learn a little bit more about because I just don't know enough to have an educated conversation about it or to really teach you much about it. Mm-hmm. But I would like to. So it's on my short list.
So stay tuned.
In the last few weeks. Yeah. So anyway, anyone doing office hours this Friday? You know what, Mike? I will not confirm, but I will do my best in Evan's stead to be available for at least a good chunk of that. I will announce it in Discord. But yeah, great question. Thank you for the reminder. Actually, let me take a moment, just jot down a calendar notice for myself for that one.
While you do that, my final thoughts here are going to be tomorrow we get confirmation on US Q1 GDP numbers. So we got them before, but tomorrow is the confirmed GDP because it just takes some data trickles in a little bit more slowly than other data. So we'll get that Q1 GDP in, and we get a little bit. I think we get PCE inflation also tomorrow, or it's Friday. I think it's Friday. So we got those data points coming out that could shake the markets. Maybe we'll see. Other than that, I don't know. All I have to say is everybody wash your face before you go to bed. Moisturize. Take care of yourself. If you can afford it, buy a red light therapy mask. I just started using it. It's very nice. I'm about to look younger and younger and younger. It's going to be fantastic.
Okay. Does that live up to the hype?
It does. You have to use it consistently for... Hang on a second. Hey, baby! The red light therapy mask, is it 1 month or 3 months? Yeah. It's going to be about 3 months.
Okay.
But my girlfriend's been using it because I bought it for her like a year ago, and it's really helped. I mean, it's like there've been a lot of skin improvements, and she's really focused on skin game, which helped me to improve my skin game. So now finally I am on board with it. Okay. So it lives up to the hype for sure. If you have acne problems, it's amazing. If you got scarring from past acne, fantastic. Good for wrinkles. It's actually really useful. It works.
Sponsored by Red Light, but I guess we should be.
Yeah. Red light all day, dog. So yeah, take care of your skin. Go moisturize. Hit the gym. You don't deserve as many sweet treats as you think.
Don't eat so much sugar. Join me.
Yeah. Make sure that as you get old, you feel good, guys. Oh, also, I've been seeing a bunch of TikTok videos going around that have been politicizing the gym. They're like, yeah, weightlifting is a pipeline for the alt-right. And I'm like, shut up. All of you, shut the fuck up. Everyone go to the gym. Everyone be healthy. Don't politicize the gym. What is this garbage?
Just move.
Yeah, just move around. Go outside. Go for a run. Do some jumping jacks. I don't know. Be healthy. That's all I have to say.
Well, Will, I appreciate you hanging out with me. No guest tonight, but you know what? Honestly, we don't get to really do this enough and just kind of shoot the shit. So thank you to everyone who tuned in and hung out with us tonight. We will be back for the final show this week tomorrow morning at our usual time and place right here. I'm going to make a valiant effort to see if I can figure out the TikTok thing. I'm not holding my breath, but if nothing else, if all else fails, we will be completely back to normal next week, starting on Monday, with Evan at home, Evan on the board. At this point, I'm beginning to think that there's a ghost in mind that is just haunting me. Because
The way all things should be, with Evan holding the reins of the Rise Up Morning Show.
Yes, amen. Excited to get the full report on permissionless and all that good stuff. He's doing good work out there. If you have any questions that you didn't get answered tonight, please feel free to hit us up in Discord. I appreciate all of you for being in there. And, Will, I'll see you bright and early.
Nah, I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna leave you hanging.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll see somebody bright and early.
I'm gonna be in the comments just watching you.
Just lurking.
Yeah.
Lobbing shots. All right. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate you for bearing with us this week as we are a little bit unconventional. But to be very honest, I don't know. It's been a good week. I'm not upset about it. We had a rough start, but we're ending strong. So thank you, everyone. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Take care.